When people think about starting a small business, they usually think about the fun part. Coming up with a name, making your product, designing a logo, maybe setting up your first booth. But there are a lot of things that have to happen behind the scenes before you ever get to this point. So while you watch me set up for one of my markets, I thought I'd walk you through the things I had to do to turn my hobby into an actual small business, and some of the things I wish I had known before I started. Before you start worrying about LLCs, bank accounts, or business cards, I think one of the most important things you need to figure out is why you're doing this. Are you trying to make a little extra money? Do you eventually want to replace your full-time income? Do you want to sell online, at craft shows, or in stores? Because those are very different businesses. For me, this eventually became my full-time income, and when your business is responsible for paying your bills, you have to look at it differently than you would a hobby. That definitely doesn't mean that you need to know exactly where your business will be 5 years from now. I definitely didn't. But knowing what you're trying to build helps you make a better decision as you go forward. The next thing sounds obvious, but you need to figure out exactly what you're going to sell and who you're going to sell it to. And this will probably change. My business today doesn't look exactly like it did when I first started. Some products sell really well, others don't. That's the fun part about running a business. You don't have to have a perfect product lineup before you start. You need somewhere to start, and then you need to pay attention to what your customers are actually buying. Then we get into the less exciting stuff. You need to decide how you're going to structure your business. Depending on your situation, that might mean operating as a sole proprietor or forming an LLC. I am not an attorney or an accountant, so I'm not going to tell you which one is right for you. What I will tell you is that this is something you need to research for your own business and for your own state. Don't just do something because somebody on TikTok told you that's what all small businesses do. Look at your state's requirements, talk to a professional if you need to, and figure out what makes sense for your situation. You'll also want to find out what registrations, permits, or licenses you need, and this can vary quite a bit depending on where you live and what you're selling. Look at your state, county, and local requirements. If you're selling taxable products, find out what you need to do legally to collect and remit sales tax. Some events may ask you for your documentation when you apply. This definitely isn't the exciting part of starting a business, but it's much easier to figure this stuff out at the beginning than it is to try to fix it later. Trust me. One thing I strongly recommend is separating your business finances from your personal finances. Open a separate bank account and start treating the money coming into your business like business money. Because once you're doing markets like this, money starts moving very quickly. You're buying inventory and supplies, you're paying vendor fees, you're collecting cash and card payments, you're paying expenses. And if it's all mixed in together with your groceries and your electric bill, figuring out whether your business is actually profitable gets complicated very quickly. And that brings me to something I wish more people talked about when they're starting a business. You have to track your numbers. Revenue is not a profit. If I do a market and sell $1,000 worth of products, that doesn't mean I made $1,000. I have materials, vendor fees, credit card fees, travel expenses, display costs, and all the other expenses that come with running a small business. Start tracking your income and expenses from the beginning. You don't need to get some giant complicated system. You just need a system that you'll actually use. Because your numbers will eventually tell you what is working and what isn't. And then you're going to need to figure out how you're going to get paid. You will also need a way for customers to actually pay you. For me, I sell at markets. I need to be able to accept both cash and cards. Depending on your business, you might need a point of sale system, an online store, an invoicing software, or some combination of those things. Think about how your customer is going to go from saying, "I want this," to actually giving you money. The easier you make the process, the better. And please, figure out your pricing before you start selling. This is especially important for a handmade business. Your price isn't just the cost of your yarn or your materials. Your time has value. And you also have business expenses. And you need to leave a little room for profit. I think a lot of handmade business owners start out pricing based off of what feels comfortable instead of what actually makes financial sense. I've definitely had to learn and adjust my prices over the years. You don't have to get it perfect on day one, but you do need to understand what it actually costs you to make and sell your products. And here's something I wish someone had told me when I first started. You don't need everything. You don't need the perfect logo. You don't need to spend $5,000 on a market setup. You don't need 17 different products. And you definitely don't need to buy every cute piece of business equipment you see online. Start with what you actually need to make a sale. Then let your business pay for the upgrades. My setup didn't start out looking like this. I've added things and changed things over time based on what worked and what didn't work and what I could afford. And this footage is a pretty good example of the part of small business ownership people don't always see. Making the product is only part of the job. There's packing inventory, there's loading the vehicle, driving to events, unloading, setting everything up, working the market, taking everything down, loading it all back up, tracking your inventory, bookkeeping, applications, social media, customer service. And then somewhere in there, you have to actually make the things you're selling. Starting a small business isn't just about being good at making something. You're also becoming the marketing department, the sales department, the accounting department, the shipping department, and the janitor. Sometimes all before lunch. But I also don't want this list to scare you away, because you don't have to figure it all out at once. I've been building my business for years and I'm still learning. Start with the basics. Figure out what you're selling and why you're doing it. Research the legal requirements where you live. Separate your finances. Track your numbers. Price your products properly, and then start. You will learn things by actually running your business that no amount of research will ever teach you. And your business is probably going to change along the way. Mine certainly has. In the next video in this series, I want to start getting into the actual process of selling, including what you need to know before doing your first craft show. So if you're trying to turn something you make into an actual business, subscribe and follow along. And if you already have a small business, leave a comment and tell me, what's one thing you wish someone had told you before you started?